On this brief journey, I'd like to invite you to look with me at the evolution of the world, the evolution of human culture, through the unique lens of the ancient model of the chakras. I can imagine that this may sound surprising at first. What do chakras have to do with the understanding of the history and future of humankind? But for anyone who is absolutely in love with the 7 chakra system like me, it becomes natural to realize that this model helps understand many different processes: spiritual development, psychological processes, the nature of human experience, and our personality design. This awesome gift includes a fascinating insight into the evolution of human culture in the past, present, and future. More than anything, it's a model that can shed some light on the point in which we presently are, and also where things are headed, humanity's next step. Now, I should warn you, however, that this reading is not based on a solid historical understanding. I am not a historian, and it is also not a prophecy. I am not a prophet. This is simply a theoretical and intuitive model. One intriguing point before we're diving into the model: somehow the chakra system model is beautifully aligned with another, more scientific model called spiral dynamics. It's a model of evolutionary human development that was developed by researchers such as Don Beck and others back in the 1970s. So if you're familiar with that brilliant model, you will find out that there are some great and deliberate similarities between spiral dynamics and this chakra model. So let's take a look at the model that describes the journey of humanity based on the chakras. We can see that around 100,000 years ago, humanity's root chakra was first developed. This signified the appearance of primitive society, humans as we know them, showing early signs of culture. The first step was learning how to overcome the forces of nature using tools and long-term planning, and also developing communal units with basic laws of behavior to enhance chances of survival. On the basis of this layer, around 50,000 years ago, humans began to develop their sacral chakra. They formed a more abstract culture of representation, not just coping with the world, but also representing it. So, forces of nature transformed into protective or angry deities, and art appeared to reflect actual experiences in the world. With the sacral chakra development came ritual, ceremony, a sense of magic, trance-like tribal experiences, and enchanted dance. The time of the navel or solar plexus chakra came around 5,000 years ago. This third layer was the discovery of the experience of power, not just overcoming forces of nature to survive, and not just pleasing the gods as a tribe, but also civilizations and individuals that sought expansion, conquest, and eternal glory. This was the birth of empires and heroes. the Game of Thrones in human culture, fighting in the name of the gods, but also aspiring to become gods. Notice that the progress of culture accelerates, but also consider that the layers coexist and blend. So then the heart chakra of humanity appeared, the time of the great ideals and beliefs for which one would happily sacrifice oneself. This was the emergence of the certainty of the one supreme truth, what we now call isms. So collectives began to gather around these ultimate truths. This is how the monotheistic religions came into being, a relationship with the divine based on surrender and devotion. But also other collective minds, including very destructive ones, since the heart chakra can also produce possessiveness. This entire process leads us to a very recent development, probably just 80 years ago, after two horrific world wars in the name of isms, after the death of God announced by Nietzsche, and other processes such as postmodernism, the unbelievable advance of technology, and as a result, globalization. All these led to the throat chakra era, our present layer, and we are right now experiencing how it is developing right under our nose. So what is the throat chakra age? It is the time of disillusionment with absolute truth and collective minds. Instead, what we're facing is a culture that is primarily based on information exchange, self-expression, and intense individualization and pluralization. Everyone wants to be recognized as unique and special, and everyone wants to make their voice heard. As a result, identities multiply and complexify infinitely. There is a stunning diversity of voices, but this is also when manipulation enters the picture, since the shadow side of the throat chakra is manipulation. There are so many voices that we end up experiencing the great crisis of truth. In fact, this is the end of truth as we know it, the concept of truth. And that's why it is also the age of disinformation and the relative nature of all perspectives. So, what's our next stage? Well, if we read human culture through the eyes of the chakras, our next step is the third eye chakra. It is the need for unifying wisdom. Not one truth, as we've already known, but a kind of integration and holism after all this diversity. It is a time to develop tools for the examination of information and to organize knowledge. In other words, making the shift from information to knowledge, and from perspectives to wisdom. Now, who is going to direct this process? AI? Scientists? Philosophers, as Plato hoped? I guess that's already a question that could help us move toward and into the sixth phase.